Welcome to our channel. Get ready to dive into an exhilarating tale filled with action, suspense, and the indomitable spirit of a legendary assassin. In this gripping story, we follow the relentless journey of John Wick as he navigates the treacherous world of assassins, powerful underworld factions, and a fight for his freedom. Prepare yourself for thrilling showdowns, unexpected alliances, and the ultimate test of survival. Join us as we unfold the captivating narrative of John Wick, a man who defies all odds and becomes a legend in his own right. Welcome to a world where bullets fly, loyalties are tested, and one man's determination knows no bounds. Today we will take a look at the movie John Wick, Chapter 4, Enjoy the Thrilling Ride. The film begins in New York City, where John Wick and his loyal pit bull find refuge with the Bowery King. John relentlessly punches a board until his knuckles bleed, catching the attention of BK. BK approaches and asks John if he's prepared to confront the high table. John simply responds, "Yeah." John embarks on a journey to Morocco, where he engages in a thrilling horseback chase with men employed by the Elder. After eliminating these men, John confronts the Elder to retrieve his ring, only to discover that it is no longer in his possession. Frustrated, John proceeds to eliminate the Elder before making his departure. Back in New York, Winston and Sharon receive a summons from the Harbinger to meet with the Marquis de Graymont, dispatched by the High Table. They have been informed of the Elder's demise, and the Marquis scolds Winston for failing to eliminate John. As a consequence, the Marquis condemns and destroys the New York Continental. Winston is branded excommunicado, and to exacerbate the situation, the Marquis shoots Sharon in the chest. Winston stays by his dying friend's side, regretting that it should have been him. In Paris, Kane, a blind assassin, stands in a park where his daughter Mia plays the violin. The Marquis summons Kane, commanding him to pursue John. Kane, retired from his lethal profession, resists, but the Marquis threatens Mia's life if Kane refuses the High Table's orders. John makes his way to the Osaka Continental, managed by his old friend Shimazu Koji, who has his daughter Akira serving as a concierge. Koji privately agrees to provide John with secret sanctuary, though Akira harbors distrust towards John's presence. Soon, Chitty, the Marquis' right-hand man, arrives with a squad of assassins, attempting to draw John out. Koji's guards engage in a fierce battle against the High Table assassins, using arrows in the darkness. As the hitmen reach the rooftop, John seizes his gun and showcases his exceptional skills. While Koji's guards manage to repel most of the High Table hitmen, Kane arrives and leaves a trail of bodies in his wake, utilizing traps to aid his heightened senses and dispatching his targets with sword and gun. Meanwhile, Akira joins the fight, eliminating some of Chitty's men but sustaining a gunshot wound. John assists Akira and Koji in escaping while he continues to engage more adversaries, employing a pair of nunchucks to devastating effect. Kane encounters John, their shared history leading to a momentary hesitation, but Kane reluctantly pursues John for Mia's sake. After a brief skirmish, John manages to evade Kane. Amidst the chaos, Mr. Nobody, a tracker accompanied by his German Shepherd, lurks nearby, eliminating some of the gunmen pursuing John. He too desires the contract on John's head, but declares that the current $20 million bounty is insufficient, hence his temporary alliance with John. As Koji and Akira make their escape, they unexpectedly come across Kane. Koji, refusing to let Kane pursue John, engages him in a fierce sword duel. Despite initially appearing to allow Koji to leave, Kane persists in the fight until he delivers a fatal blow. Akira cradles her father's lifeless body, filled with grief, and attempts to seize his sword to avenge him. However, Kane advises against it, urging her not to suffer the same fate and promising that they will meet again. Akira, filled with anger, heads to the train station where she finds John, blaming him for her father's death. She demands that John kill Kane or else she will take matters into her own hands. Meanwhile, Winston meets with the Bowery King, recognizing that their proximity to John makes them targets. Simultaneously, the Harbinger confronts the Marquis about the excessive bloodshed at the Osaka Continental. The Marquis, however, justifies the brutality, aiming not only to eliminate John Wick but also to dismantle the notion of him being untouchable and invincible. In the midst of their discussion, Mr. Nobody pays a visit to the Marquis, demanding a $23 million contract for killing John. In response, the Marquis impales Mr. Nobody's hand, forcing him to decide between removing the knife or sacrificing his ambitions. Mr. Nobody chooses to withdraw his hand, enduring the pain, and the Marquis agrees to fulfill his request. John meets Winston at Karen's tomb, expressing his condolences for the loss of their mutual friend. Determined to seek revenge against the Marquis, Winston proposes that John challenge him to a duel as a means to secure his freedom from the High Table, even though such duels were believed to be mere myths. The only individuals who can support John in this endeavor are his family, family, but his ties with the Ruscaroma have been severed as they tore up his ticket and disassociated themselves from him. With no other options, John agrees to track them down. John journeys to Berlin to find the Ruscaroma, where he is greeted with a shotgun blast from the priest and subsequently tied up with a noose around his neck. He is soon confronted by his adoptive sister Katia, who harbors anger towards John. She blames him for the elder's death, which led to the Marquis ordering the execution of her father, Piotr, who would have endorsed John in the duel. John offers to help Katia as a means to redeem himself, and she commands him to go after Killa, a German high table member who was responsible for her father's demise. John ventures into Killa's bustling nightclub, where Kane and Mr. Nobody have also tracked him down. The trio engages in a card game with Killa, who resorts to cheating before unleashing his men to attack the three assassins. While Kane and Nobody hold their ground against the thugs, aided by Nobody's trusty canine companion, John embarks on a relentless pursuit of Killa throughout the club, blending in with oblivious clubgoers. Employing a deadly card, John slices Killa's neck and engages in a fierce fight with him. Despite Killa's strength and weight advantage, John refuses to be deterred. Killa's men meet their predictable bloody demise as they attempt to take down John. In a final confrontation, Killa pushes John over a balcony, but the fall fails to stop him. John eventually corners Killa, sending him plummeting down a stairway until he smashes headfirst onto the ground, resulting in his demise. As proof of Killa's death, John retrieves one of his gold teeth and presents it to Katia. She reacts with approval, assisting John in undergoing a ceremonial branding with the family's crest and providing him with support for the upcoming duel. Winston pays a visit to the Marquis, presenting the official challenge document from John for the duel. Despite the Marquis's initial resistance, Winston reminds him of his obligations to the High Table and its customs, compelling him to proceed. Furthermore, Winston demands that if John emerges victorious, Winston's excommunicado status will be revoked, and his Continental will be restored and rebuilt under his management. However, the Marquis reminds Winston that he will serve as John's second, implying that his own fate is tied to John's survival. John arrives to meet with the Marquis, while the Harbinger presides over them, outlining the terms of the duel. They are to rendezvous at the Sacré-Cœur in Paris at sunrise and engage in a gunfight. Failure to appear before the deadline will result in automatic forfeiture and grounds for execution. Kane will act as the Marquis' second, and he agrees to release him and his daughter if he manages to kill John. John seeks solace in a church, where he sits to pay tribute to Helen, his late wife. Kane joins him in a friendly manner, sharing insights about Mia and emphasizing what John stands to lose. Later, John meets with Winston and the Bowery King, with the latter providing him with a new gun and a bulletproof suit. The Harbinger warns the Marquis of the consequences within the High Table if he were to be killed by John. Determined to prevent John from reaching the Sacré-Cœur in time, the Marquis dispatches Chitty and his gang to hunt him down. A radio DJ broadcasts the bounty on John, enticing other assassins to join the pursuit. Amidst the relentless pursuit, John fights off hordes of assassins while making his way towards the Sacré-Cœur. Gunmen engage him in the streets, with John maneuvering through traffic around the Arc de Triomphe, dispatching his foes or allowing them to meet their demise in car collisions. The High Table closely monitors his movements, prompting even more assassins to converge on him. John enters a warehouse teeming with adversaries, using explosive rounds to decimate their ranks. Meanwhile, Nobody aids in eliminating some of the assassins and negotiates with the Marquis, demanding a higher payment. Ultimately, the Marquis agrees to a $40 million contract, attracting additional desperate and doomed hitmen. After overcoming numerous obstacles, John finally reaches the steps leading up to the Sacré-Cœur, dispatching several more assassins along the way. However, Chitty arrives and violently knocks him back down the steps. Kane emerges to assist John, aiding him in eliminating Chitty's men. Nobody also arrives, engaging in a fight with Chitty due to his earlier mistreatment of his dog, who emerges unharmed. With John's support, Chitty is brought down, with the dog delivering a painful bite to his sensitive area, and Nobody delivering a fatal shot to his head. As an added touch, the dog marks its territory by urinating on Chitty's face. With moments to spare before sunrise, John and Kane face each other on the steps, drawing their pistols for an old-fashioned duel. Both adversaries manage to hit each other twice. In the third round, Kane shoots John in the abdomen, but John refrains from firing. Seizing the opportunity, the Marquis orders Kane to deliver the coup de grace, intending to be the one to kill John Wick. He takes aim at John, but Winston interjects, branding the Marquis as an arrogant fool and reminding him that John had not fired his final round. Realizing his mistake too late, the Marquis finds himself at the receiving end of John's fatal shot, his brains blown out. The Harbinger then proclaims that both John and Kane are released from their obligations to the High Table, John descends the steps, momentarily reflecting on Helen as he utters her name before collapsing. John Wick dies as a man finally freed from his past. Winston and Bowery King lay John to rest next to Helen, fulfilling his request to have his tombstone read loving husband. As they stand by his grave, BK poses a philosophical question to Winston, asking whether he believes John is in heaven or hell. Winston responds with uncertainty, acknowledging that the answer remains unknown. With their solemn duty fulfilled, Winston and BK depart, with BK taking on the responsibility of caring for John's loyal dog, symbolizing the enduring legacy left behind by the legendary assassin. And the movie ends here. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. See you in the next one.